Well, the football is nearly back, and you join us here at LUTV to take a look at the Sky Bet Championship fixtures for the new season 2019-2020. A big season for Leeds United as well, our centenary year, and how is this one going to pan out? My name is Rich Williams, joining me to look through and analyse all the games for Leeds United this season. Tony Dorigo and Ben Parker, former defenders for Leeds United. Great to have you. It's great to be back, right? The football's around the corner.
At last. Yes, it seems a long way, doesn't it? A long time since, unfortunately, the end of the season didn't quite go to plan, but now, couldn't put it all right. Let's get off to a good start. So fixtures always an exciting day, and good to see who we're about to play.
Yeah, and when you look at the fixtures, you can start really looking forward, Ben, can't you, to the new season rather than looking back at the old one.
Definitely gives you optimism, gives you a bit of belief, and like Tony was saying there, excitement. Everyone's been waiting for this day to come around. Yeah, disappointing how we finished last year, but it's like a breath of fresh air, these fixtures coming back around. You start plotting these games here and there, but it's great. Everyone's excited at this moment in time.
Well, 46 games for Leeds United in the league, of course. 6 new teams joining, 3 coming up, 3 having come down for the Barclays Premier League. And let's take a look at how it's all shaping up. Let's start with the first 6 for Leeds United. And of course, it starts with that away trip on the 4th of August 2019 to Bristol City. That's a 4:30 kickoff on the Sunday. After that, it is Nottingham Forest at home. That will be the first home game of the season, followed by Wigan away, Brentford at home, Stoke City away, of course, members of the opening day of last season with Stoke City, and then Swansea City ending up August. Those 6 games on the 31st of August. So I guess the obvious question here, you look at those first 6, what stands out? What are you thinking? Away to Bristol, and that's how it's all going to start off.
Yeah, I think Bristol City away is going to be difficult. Could have been worse, could have been better. But I do think we quite like it down there. Last couple of years, I think we won 3-0 and 1-0. So Lee Johnston, no doubt, will get his side raring to go. But no, that's not a bad start. But you know what? It doesn't matter who you're playing first game. You just want to get out there. You hate pre-season. I hate running. I hate doing all that sort of stuff. Get on the pitch. Give me a winger to mark. Let me kick him, and let's go forward. And so the players will be thinking exactly the same. So whoever it is, Bristol, whatever, they'll be ready.
And Ben, when you look at those first 6 of the season, of course, Leeds got off to such a blistering start in the last campaign. You look at the first 6 here, you think they could maybe go and do something similar?
Definitely, but we looked to the fixtures last season with having Stoke and Derby County in the first up, and you think, very difficult start, but then one of both got the 6 points. So, looking at these on paper, you think, it's not been too bad of a start with the first 6, but you've got to go out there and win them. So, like Tony was saying, get the pre-season over and done with. Yeah, it's going to be tough. The boys know that coming back in, but it's all about that first game. Get a bit of momentum, hit the ground running, and then you can take them as the games come quick and fast. Because in August they do is designed like that. It's the league first 6 in a space of a month. It's quite difficult.
Tony, you mentioned Lee Johnson, Bristol City manager, already today, pretty much as soon as those fixtures came out, already describing Leeds United as a cup final atmosphere, as it will be down there at Bristol, and yet everyone wants to pick Leeds out for the first game of the season. If you get them at home, I'm sure they're absolutely delighted about that.
Well, whoever it is that did get us, and this time it is Bristol, they're going to get, you're right, absolutely delighted. It's going to be packed out. What an atmosphere. I always found as well on the first game of the season, the weather was hot. As a player, it always went hotter, didn't it? No matter what it was, it's boiling. So last thing you want is heat, but that's what you're going to get. So it should be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, he'll be certainly getting the fans all revved up, but we'll be ready as well, absolutely.
And you look at some of the other games, Wigan Athletic in there, for example. Wigan, who had a really good home record last year, not so good away. Did all right here at Ellen Road, but we'll move on from that quite quickly.
Well, we owe them one, don't we?
We do.
That was painful.
And is it fair to say with these first 6 fixtures, there's a bit of the unknown? I mean, you'd expect maybe Stoke and Swansea to have better campaigns this time around, maybe Nottingham Forest as well.
I think that's the interesting one, Stoke and Swansea, because I got to say I was really surprised with both of them last season. I expected a lot more of them. Stoke were just, they come down to the Championship and got battered. They didn't think it would be like that, so they really struggled. So with a year under their belt, they should be better. Swansea, same sort of thing. So I'll be interested to see the actual relegated sides this season. We play them all in December, actually, so that's going to be an interesting time. But for Swansea and Stoke, I think they will be better this season.
So sometimes it's quite good to play those relegated teams near the beginning. We saw that last year with Stoke, and also the season before with Sunderland as well. You think that, but it takes a little bit of time of adjustment, doesn't it?
It does. I was actually relegated as well with Chelsea, and then going down. It is an adjustment is required. When they do come down, they need to be ready for the fight, because it really is much more physical in the Championship.
Before we move on to the Christmas fixtures, just a couple worth pointing out. I mean, everyone was kind of looking towards it, but Saturday, September the 21st, will be Derby County at home, which people are already getting very excited about on Twitter, and that's both teams will have just settled into the season by then as well, won't they? And they've beaten playoff finalists from last season will be making their journey back here.
Ready to lock horns again. That's going to be interesting, isn't it?
That's what it's all about, though, isn't it?
No, it is. You're right. It's about rivalries. You want to play your biggest rivals, and you want to beat them. It's as simple as that. Wherever that may be, and just the history, very recent history of what's happened with Derby. There's a lot to talk about, and a lot to want to win that game for. So that's a big game. And
the end of September with Derby followed very shortly on the beginning of October with another home game. So Derby and West Brom as well, 2 home games within the space of around 10 days. That's going to be another... I mean, you can look at all these and say it's going to be a big section, but when you pick them out bit by bit, you look at them and you think, that's a bit of a tasty few days for Leeds, at home especially.
Yeah, and before a ball's been kicked, you expect those 2 teams to be up there. Like you were saying there, Tony, you want to beat your rival teams in and around you, because it's massive, especially in this league as well. So it could be a pivotal kind of little section that for us going forward, but you don't know how the season pans out. Like I was saying about Stoke there, we both expected them to be up and challenging at the top end of the division, and they want to be last season, so you don't have any given right to turn up and expect to be in that top 6, that top 2. But from our point of view, take care of your own business, get off to a good start, and then that'll take you nicely into those fixtures.
Okay, let's take a look at the Christmas and New Year 6, if we'll call them. I'm actually going to add in one more, simply because on the 7th of December, it's away to Huddersfield Town, which is probably worth kind of mentioning. So that starts that Christmas period. If we started it at the first game in December, Huddersfield away, and then in the next 3 games, 2 of those relegated teams as well. And you look at the lineup there: Hull City, Cardiff at home, Fulham away, Preston at home, Birmingham away, and then West Brom away. Christmas is always huge and New Year's always huge, but that looks like a big 6, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does. You're right. Even more important at this stage. I think if you went back to the start of last season and thought who the favourites were, Christmas wouldn't have quite been what you expected. But this, Cardiff. I don't know. I just think Cardiff. I think by coming back down to the Championship, they will be prepared anyway. They're that sort of side. Fulham will be an interesting one to see what happens, but Birmingham's going to be tough. West Brom's going to be tough. So I look at those 6 and you think December's always pivotal. That's a lot of points as well, 18 points over that period. Get on a roll during that period, you'll be looking good.
Just worth mentioning, I guess, for Leeds United fans, of many of which travel up and down the country, that actually the 3 Christmas ones, Preston at home, Birmingham away, and then West Brom away, in terms of what the travel could have been, it's not terrible. It's 2 away games, but there's nothing at the other end of the country. So for fans who are doing that journey, that's at least a good bit of news, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose they can book the hotels planning around the Birmingham area. We'll have us having Birmingham and West Brom there, but I think it is a difficult
book
fixture.
hotels. Sky haven't announced their fixtures yet.
That is true.
Okay, so sorry. Don't get them booking hotels. They're not just yet.
Book without being penalised if you have to cancel. That's probably the booking you want to make there, yeah.
But I think it's quite a difficult run of fixtures. Like, you take the 4, starting from Fulham, we've only got 1 game at home over that Christmas, New Year period, and it's quite difficult. And the amount of rest you do get is very, very little. Games come again quick and fast in that period, as we all know. So to get 1 game at Ellen Road, it could have been a bit kinder to us, but hey, you got to deal with it. So it'll all even itself out throughout the season.
And if you look at stretches of games, those 6 there, I mentioned just before that is the Huddersfield away one. Just before that is Middlesbrough at home. So if you extend it to an 8, and Jonathan Woodgate, and suddenly it's the end of November through to the start of January is going to be just a crucial period, isn't it?
Yeah, we're looking at them now just on face value of what the team's going to be like. We also don't know how we're going to be playing. And I've got to say, looking at these fixtures, if we're doing well, if we are winning games, you look at those fixtures and you're not frightened of any of them. If you're playing badly and conceding goals, you're thinking, oh, that's a tough one, that's a tough one. And that's what it is. What you do know, you're going to get some real battles there. But, the fixture list, when they do come out, I always look at the first one, and after that, you get onto some form. And it doesn't matter what the team is, you go and beat them. And
of course, that's what Leeds did at the start of last season. Perhaps in some way more of an unknown quantity when Marcelo Bielsa had come in. We sat here at Ellen Road watching that first game of the season, that performance against Stoke, and then it rolled on from there. I guess Leeds possibly won't be given that much grace at the start of this season. Perhaps teams will at least know what we're about and what we're going to try and do to them, won't they?
They will do, but I firmly believe we'll have something kind of up our sleeve as well. Knowing Bielsa, knowing the manager, what he's like, and his tactics that he does employ, I'm sure he'll be up for any challenge that comes his way. And listening to Calvin Phillips today talking about the fixtures, there seems a real hunger with himself, within the squad, they've come out and said, look, we firmly believe we should have got the job done last season. Look, it didn't happen for whatever reason. But that togetherness, that willingness to get it done this year, and that's steel of determination. That's what you're going to need.
So after Christmas, of course, the show rolls on. And interestingly, this season, it's a bit of an anomaly, really. It doesn't normally happen. 7 games in February. February normally being, or not normally, always, is the shortest month of the year. Leap year this year, so there's the extra day, and the first falls on a Saturday, which means the 29th is as well. 7 fixtures in February is almost unheard of, but again, it's going to be, a game, couple of days rest, game and go again like it always is in the Sky Bet Championship.
You're right, and that's what it is. It's a marathon. I think what's interesting as well is the cup, how that affects everything. I think it is important to certainly attack that correctly and take your form into the league. We know what happened at Newport. FA Cup for us a couple of seasons ago.
Actually erased that out of my mind, but
I can't remember what I'm talking about. What game was that exactly? You're right, but those sort of things are important. So when you get to February, you wonder what other fixtures you have to kind of slot in there. But momentum is key, and February seems to be a lot of games in a short space of time again.
And then before we know it, 1 minute it's February, then you're looking at the running, aren't you? And Leeds will head towards the last 6 games of the season. Let's just see how these look for Leeds United. So the final matches. 4th of April we start here. It's weird seeing 2020 there, isn't it? But there you go.
Wow.
Leeds United away at Blackburn, then they're at home to Stoke, followed by a trip to Wales for Swansea, home to Barnsley, away at Derby, and then home to Charlton. Lee Bowyer, of course, now committing to Charlton for the season, and that will be on the 2nd of May. I guess it's a bit like looking at the other ones you said. It depends how you're playing, it depends what's at stake, doesn't it? But if you're playing well going into those...
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just looking at that second last one. Wouldn't it be nice to win at Derby County? And
it's
get
funny,
promotion there.
How football sometimes comes back around as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Things always kind of even themselves out, so you never know. But you just want these fixtures. You look at them, you're just thinking, I hope we've got something to play for. Coming to the Blackburn Rovers game, the last 6. Have something to play for, and hopefully the rest will take care of itself then.
And sometimes the fixtures are strange. You'd think there'd be an even spacing, but actually you look at Stoke and Swansea, we play them in the first 6. And we also play them in the last 6. Yeah. And so much happens between the start of the season and the end of the season that it's almost sometimes like you're playing 2 totally different teams, isn't it?
You're right. And even between now and the start of the season, I'm looking at a lot of these sides. Recruitment is still ongoing. We're all waiting for certain players to come and go. And that will shape up what we think about those sides as well. But what you do know is there'll be some teams there that will spend a bit of money and they'll be stronger for it. So, we're going to match them and hopefully when we do play them, we beat them.
It is that exciting moment of the season where, as you build up to that first game, you just think anything can happen. Really, this could go any direction, and you just hope it goes in the right way you want it to.
Well, you're right, because even I think Stoke City, we all must have watched that game at the start and thought, if we get a draw out of this, looking at their team sheet to our team sheet, the manager that we had that changed the philosophy completely, we're thinking this is a bit of a test for us. And look, we walloped them, absolutely walloped them. So anything can happen.
You mentioned Marcelo Bielsa. This is, of course, the centenary year. Kicked off with the Kaiser Chiefs celebrations at Ellen Road recently, and a huge year for the club. The gold signage going up around Ellen Road. If anyone's driven past it recently, you'll see that outside the club shop and everything. Important to get off to a good start, but we know, if anything, that Marcelo Bielsa is committed, is here at Leeds United, and he will have those players ready to go. They're back in training next week already.
Best signing of the summer. Yeah, no, it is. It's absolutely fantastic news. I'm sure he feels the job isn't done. That's why he's here and wants to give it another go. We have a year under our belt. The players have that much, I suppose, education from the manager under their belt, that understanding. What you do know, first game of the season, we are going to be fit, hungry and ready to go. So I think even if sides know how we play, it doesn't matter. Try and stop us, because our hunger will be greater than yours. So it's exciting. It's all down, you're right, from the manager, and he's here again and we go again.
And Ben, last season you were in and around the squad watching in the pre-season before everything got going really. We know how hard he trains them. What kind of things are they going to be doing over the next couple of weeks? How does that pre-season start and build up towards that first game?
Leave your football boots at home. You'll be wearing some flat trainers. You'll be doing a lot of running. I don't.
It's the worst, right?
It's the worst.
Both of your faces right now, just even thinking back.
You want to play, don't you? You don't want to run.
You just get the footballs out. That's all you want. And but it's part and parcel of the job. The one of the big reasons why we did so well last year were how the players looked after themselves, how fit they got themselves, even the body fats, the percentages were way down, the target weights were down, and it's testament to the players to stick to that. yeah, we've got to do that again for another season, and that's going to be a test, more of a mental test than a fitness test, because I'm with you too, and I think we'll be so fit, we'll come out of the blocks flying, and teams have got to be able to stop that, but can we sustain it again for another season? That's going to be the challenge to the boys, but they know what to expect now. They've done it for another season. Going to this season, knowing what to expect, hit those target weights, hit those fitness levels. We've already proven teams can't live with us when we do that.
And in terms of pre-season, that intensity from last year, presumably as a player, you know, it's much better when you've got a manager that you believe the philosophy. You know it works. You can see the results. They saw the results from last season. You can go into that with that attitude of, I know what we're doing here is going to pay dividends when it comes down to the crunch later in the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's an important point, because I think anytime I've had a new manager, sometimes depending on who it is, you know, you come in and think, right, well, what's his ideas? You know, how does he want to play? And if you could be the polar opposite to what he thinks, and you don't get a result, and you don't get the next result, you're thinking, hold on a sec, does this guy know what he's doing? That doesn't happen with Bielsa. He come in, you have respect straight away, but also hit the ground running that first game. That must have, you know, in every player's mind, must have thought, wow, you know, this is exciting, we can really do something. So I think it'll be exactly the same again. And in terms of pre-season, it won't be long before those kind of friendly fixtures come around. York on the 10th of July, then Guiseley on the 11th, then a trip to Australia, Manchester United and West Sydney as well in there. So plenty for Leeds fans to look forward to before we even kick the first ball of the Sky Bet Championship season.
Yeah, are you taking us to Australia, Rich?
I haven't been off, no one's asked yet, but ring me. Yeah, and you know that game against Manchester United, yeah, it's a pre-season friendly, quotes and quotes, but you know, it's good.
Friendly.
That's what it's been called, a pre-season friendly. But you know, another chance to see it. And as he did last season, Marcelo Bielsa will be using players in different positions and trying things out. And a lot of the stuff in the pre-season last year, a few eyebrows raised. Who's playing where? Calvin Phillips is playing where? In that well, look how that's turned out.
Yeah, you're right. I think York and Guiseley, I think both of us saw those games last season, and I had this young kid on the right, Jamie Shackleton. Who is this lad? I thought, wow, what a player, and what he did towards the end of last season. You know, fantastic. So he'll be pushing to get in as well, and we're going to see no doubt some new young players as well, which is something to look forward to. Hopefully, one or two new signings as well. Yeah, and last year Marcelo Bielsa, in some respects, at points forced into using some of the younger players, but in other respects used them because they were good enough to be used. So injuries aside, I know you've covered a lot of the under 23 and the under 18 stuff. Ben, you expect to see some of those players come through.
I hope they've gone away this off-season and got themselves in peak conditions, so when they come back on the 24th, they can hit the ground running. And it's down to the players, go impress themselves. Mentioned Jamie Shackleton there, Jack Clark, just two of the players that spring to mind. Spoke to these guys midway through last season about what pre-season was like for those guys. And they were saying anytime they got an opportunity to train with the first team, to play in a York City, a Guiseley match, they had to grasp it with both hands. It was like their kind of like big World Cup final game to go and impress the manager. So to any young player coming through, you're going to get given a chance. It's up to you to grasp that chance, because we're at a club now where we're seeing the continuity throughout the club for the 13 to the 23s. You've got to give given chances this season.
I think the other game that I remember as well, when Mateusz Klich played midfield. Now he was out, wasn't he? He was, playing at those sort of games. I tell you what an attitude he had. His fitness levels, his attitude in that sort of game was hugely impressive. He got half a game then against, I think, Las Palmas. He came on. I thought he did magnificent, and now look what happened. So it can be the youngsters, it can be someone in and around the squad. If you get a chance, you do well, you come back fit enough, you're going to get that opportunity. Well, there you go. Pre-season will be back underway very, very shortly. Not for these two, they can just sit down and relax without having to worry about running anywhere, which is good. Tony and Ben, thank you so much for joining us. So there you go. Sunday, August the 4th, 4:30, away at Bristol City. All the action will be bringing you live here on LUTV. Sky Bet Championship Season 2019-2020. The excitement's underway, and we'll bring you it all live here on LUTV.